to me, this is making more sense. I've gone through this journey. I've done these things. Where does the breaking moment, talking about, that, like you mentioned the one story. Can you give some other examples of other people that have had, they've gone through being in the shadow of the giant through the breaking moment? What were some of the other breaking moments that people had had?
So the one I'm going to share is may feel kind of different, but somebody who grew up in Costa Rica, grew up in a family that played tons of tennis. And fairly early on in his life, he had an injury. So it was a literal breaking moment. And the injury from that point on meant that he was not going to play tennis at the level that his family played tennis. And he started to form other friendships, different than the family's friendships. This was such a fun interview to do. He had a guitar hanging on the wall. You could tell that there was something different about him.
Right.
And he really decided that what he wanted to do primarily with his life is play tennis and surf and make music. And he did really well at making music. And at some point realized he needed to make a little bit of money. So Dad had a chain of, they weren't 7-Elevens, but that kind of store. And he created a business making sandwiches, which he could do in a much shorter period of time. He actually at one point had 100 people working for him making sandwiches. And all of that was really designed to support his ability to surf and make music. So it was a literal breaking moment, but it clearly changed his life. And for a while, there was really a struggle with dad and brothers who had this idea of where he should be going or what he should be doing. And, a lot of people assume you're going to end up in the family business. You did. But not everybody ends up in the family business.
Right.
And not everybody should end up in the family business.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because I haven't had these specific conversations with my siblings, but I do feel there are times when, they may feel, and I should reach out to them and have these conversations, that they may feel, boy, weren't you lucky working with Dad all those years, and just some, the fact that they didn't take that path or go down that road, just a different experience for them. Still, every one of my siblings, I still think that they feel the shadow of the giant, because Dad, was successful and did have, some wonderful experience. I have a sister, my youngest sister. She's won 2 or 3 Emmys, and then she just this year won the South African equivalent to an Emmy. She's a producer for Sesame Street, and so she's produced TV Land before, and then now she's a producer she produces Takalani Sesame, which is Sesame Street in South Africa, and she just downplays her success. It's one thing with your friends and family, friends, but with your family, you should be, like the people that you trust and your closest people. And sometimes she still downplays it, and I'm curious if there's any of the. I'm just not sure the difference I'm making in the world, if this is exactly where I want to be, and if there's any comparison to, the amount. I mean, Dad was, did a great job and success in his business, but then also in the community. He was on every board, and everybody in the, he made a difference in a lot of charities, and a lot of people just knew who he was. You can't really walk through the town without knowing who he is, And so I wonder if that'd be an interesting conversation, I think, for us to have as siblings. That's pretty neat.
So if you ever need me to, lead that conversation with your family, one of the things that we really discovered is that The rising gen grows up with a sense of isolation. They don't quite understand. And so we're actually starting to do 1-year experiences called The Rise, where we're going to gather groups of rising gen. And I use that as a broad range in terms of ages, but people with that sense of being part of something that there's a giant and they're sorting out who they are with. And we're doing the first one in Oxford, because those kinds of conversations that you're talking about happening don't happen. And what your sister's doing sounds real cool.
I'll brag on her for 2 seconds. She just got married, and the cast and crew in South Africa put together like a 5-6 minute video with all of them dancing and, wishing her, good luck on her marriage, and, with the Muppets in the
Oh, geez.
and, one of the artists then drew a picture of her and her new husband. Really cute. They're both in their 40s, and neither of them had been married. Neither of them had kids, and they found each other during COVID, and just super sweet. That they found all that stuff. I want to get back. So enough bragging on my sister. Love you, Andrea. So now we go through this journey, the kind of that questing of these things. We have the breaking moment, and then you alluded earlier to some, and I don't remember exactly the words you used, but some steps or a path forward from there. Did I catch that right?
Yeah, so the steps are awareness, tug of war, exploration. Exploration is one probably the most important to spend some time on. And that moment, and I'm not sure everybody gets there, where you really feel like you've taken agency of your own life, and done in all kinds of ways. Clearly for me, writing a book was like, okay, I wish my dad were here, because I think he would be, I think we could have different conversations than we had before he passed away.